They tell you that you are their whole world, and then they act like you are their worst mistake. You're stuck in this push and pull of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But this is not just an emotional issue. What if the reason that you can't let go isn't a love problem, but rather an addiction problem? This is a dopamine issue. This is a relationship built on addiction, and you both have a role in the cycle that you're in, but that role might not be what you think. Welcome back to the podcast, where we shine a light on the dark corners of covert narcissistic abuse, the places where confusion reigns and the truth gets buried under charm and chaos. Today's episode is one that might hit you right in the gut, because once you see it, like so much of the rest of this, you can't unsee it. We're talking about a dynamic that is at the heart of so many toxic relationships: the push and pull, the ups and downs, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the roller coaster, and the trauma bond that forms around this roller coaster. And this shocking realization that your partner might not be in love with you, but rather addicted, and not even addicted to you, but rather addicted to your fix-it mode. Now let's break this down. In relationships with covert narcissists, you live in a confusing swirl of contradictions. One moment you are everything they've ever wanted. They're staring into your eyes, telling you that you're their soulmate, that you're their everything, their savior. The only good thing in their life is you. You're not imagining this. These words are real, and it's intense, but it's also a performance. And then it flips. Now they tell you that you are the source of all of their pain, that every memory with you has been ruined, that you're selfish, cold, emotionally unstable, and when you try to defend yourself or even ask, okay, what just happened, you're accused of being too sensitive, too dramatic, or just plain wrong. This is the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde dynamic that everybody talks about. It's the love bombing and the devaluation. It's back and forth like emotional whiplash. And the part that keeps you stuck is the memory of those good moments and the hope that they'll come back. They're what we're going to call the ups, okay? And I'm going to explain that in just a minute. This is when you felt deeply connected, you felt seen, you even felt adored. Now, I want you to picture this like a roller coaster, okay? The ups and downs of a roller coaster. That's a relationship with a covert narcissist. The ups are the moments of, when everything's just okay and sometimes even good, when they're telling you how great and wonderful life is. And, remember all those vacations we went on and all the memories, and they've just been amazing and wonderful. And we've had such good times together. Those are the ups, and they do happen in these relationships. But then there's the downs. And the downs are so contradictory to those ups, because now all the vacations you ever went on, oh, they were horrible. And, every time we've ever been together has been a disaster. And the memories that they just described as being so great and wonderful are now all of a sudden a disaster. And in these downs, or the pits, if you call them that, it's the blaming and the guilting and the moving the goalposts, the circular conversations, the gaslighting, all the elements of covert narcissism that we talk about. And a covert narcissist is up and then they're down and they're up and they're down. And this is the roller coaster that you are on with them. Now, in this roller coaster, or on this roller coaster with them, when you're in the ups with them, this is when you think, oh man, finally we're back to an okay place. Everything's good. This is the relationship that I want. This is the person that I thought they were. And we believe in those ups. And when we're down and in the pit, with them, we're down there with them, but we're just, oh man, this is horrible. I don't like this. We're in survival mode. This is when fight or flight kicks in, and we start clawing our way back out of the pit, dragging them back up, trying to get them back up on the up. And I want you to remember that, because we're going to talk about that again here in a little bit. Now, this up and down relationship, it's extremely addictive in nature for both of you. But that addiction is where the heart of trauma bonding lies. And it's what makes it so incredibly difficult and even painful to see reality, to see what's really going on, and to stand in your truth and your perspective. So let's talk about this addiction. On that roller coaster that I just described, you are addicted to the ups, to the moments when things feel okay, when they say the right words, they're talking in words that are courteous and compassionate and kind. It's when they have those moments of kindness. You feel close again. Your nervous system finally breathes, okay? It finally relaxes, and you think, okay, maybe now we're back on track. It's not love that you're addicted to, by the way. It's relief. It's the relief after the storm. It's the high that comes when things are okay again. And it's a dopamine hit. Okay? It's a dopamine hit that says, hey, we've made it through. Again, we survived this. And that dopamine, that hits like a hit of cocaine. And this is actually backed by neuroscience. So I'm going to give you a little science here for just a minute. So dopamine is the reward chemical that your body creates. Okay, it's released by your brain when you experience pleasure, anticipation, or relief. And it's what drives us to seek things that feel good, whether that's sugar, sex, drugs, emotional closeness. Okay, all of those release dopamine. In a healthy relationship, dopamine is released during moments of connection, moments of safety and trust and mutual affection. In a trauma bonded relationship, dopamine gets hijacked. When you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, you're often cycling between emotional starvation and emotional flooding. This is the ups and downs of that roller coaster. In one, you are emotionally starved, and in the other, you are emotionally flooded. When the narcissist love bombs you after a period of rejection and cruelty, your brain gets a massive surge of dopamine. This is that relief, the validation, and hope. Okay? Hope keeps you hostage in these relationships. And you get this massive surge of dopamine all at once. It feels euphoric, but it's not stable. And you know it's not stable because you've been through enough cycles of this already, even when you're not aware of it yet. Your brain starts chasing it. Your brain starts fighting to keep that dopamine hit, to pull back or rush back to it when it goes away. In fact, the harder it is to get, the higher the dopamine rush is when you get there, and the harder that you will chase it. And I want you to remember all of that. Now, let's go back to the example of cocaine because this is the same pattern as a cocaine addiction. Cocaine triggers a massive spike of dopamine inside of you, but the high doesn't last, and the crash is brutal. Over time, your brain becomes less sensitive to natural rewards, okay? Other things that give you dopamine hits don't seem to work anymore. And you become more and more dependent on the intense highs of the cocaine. Well, that's exactly what's going on in your relationship. The other natural rewards in your life, they lose their intensity. They lose their power of making you, feel good and feel accomplished and feel productive. You start losing that. And you become more and more dependent on this relationship and on the ups of this relationship. You're not just chasing pleasure. You're actually living your life now avoiding the crash. So you go back for more, even when it hurts you. This is exactly how a trauma bond works. The narcissistic person withdraws or devalues you. This is the crash. You crash. Then they give you a crumb of connection and you spike. You feel relief, euphoria. You feel love or what you translate as love. And you become hooked on trying to always get back to that high. The longer this goes on, the more your baseline shifts. Just like with drugs, your nervous system gets dysregulated. You start living in a chronic state of fight or flight or hypervigilance, always trying to make sure you still get this dopamine hit, this high, making sure you stay on the ups. You're not feeling joy. You're feeling temporary relief from pain. That's not love. That's chemical dependency. And that's what the trauma bond is. So the bottom line of this piece, this scientific piece I just said, is the cycle of the highs and lows in a relationship with a covert narcissist can be as neurologically addictive as cocaine. It's not a metaphor for how intense it feels. It's a literal description of what's going on in your brain and how your brain becomes wired to crave relief. That's why walking away is so hard. It isn't just an emotional decision. It's a neurological detox. This explains your addiction. You are addicted to the ups, to the relief. Now let's talk about them. Let's talk about their addiction because they are addicted too, but they're addicted to a different process in this. They're addicted to a different part of the roller coaster. You see, they're not addicted to the ups, okay? They're not addicted to the good times. They are addicted to the energy that you pour into them to pull them out of the pits. Think about what I'm saying here. They're addicted to your fix-it mode. Every time they blow up or spiral into self-pity or lash out in despair, something in you kicks in. And I'm going to call that your fix-it mode. Okay, that part of you that drops everything in your world to meet their needs, to fix things for them, to soothe, to explain, to understand, to support, to cheerlead, to pump them back up. So when you stop and really think about what this means that they have to continue dropping into the pit. They have to keep going there. Why? Because that is what activates your energy dispenser that kicks you into your fix-it mode. You cancel your dinner plans. You cook their favorite meal. You do all the research on emotional trauma to try to help to heal them. You validate their every thought. You walk on eggshells. You offer every ounce of energy you have just to bring them back up again. So here's that hard truth. They're not addicted to you. They're not even addicted to the good times with you, the love and the connection. No, they're addicted to your attention, to your energy, to your caregiving. They're addicted to the control that they get when you go into fix-it mode. Now let's bring this home with some real-world examples. Example 1, you've had a peaceful weekend, no drama, and you're finally feeling good. Monday morning comes, but they wake up sulking, and you ask what's wrong. And they say, it's just, I don't even think you love me anymore. Now this comes out of nowhere. There's no preliminary thing that's happened. You've had a good weekend together. Things were just okay. They were peaceful, they were calm, you were together. But just like that, with that one comment, I don't think you even love me anymore. You're now sucked back in. You're now doing all the reassuring, explaining, proving your love. They were fine, but they weren't getting fed emotionally because you were in a calm, peaceful place. They needed your effort, not your peace. Example number 2, you've got plans to go out with friends, and those plans seemed fine and everything seemed okay, and suddenly they're in a mood. They bring up an old fight, or they accuse you of not prioritizing the relationship. And then they say, it's fine, go have fun. I'll just be here alone again. And what do? Now you're canceling your plans. You're canceling your dinner or your evening with your friends. They never said don't go, but they knew you would cancel because their pain, real or imagined, triggers your fix-it mode, and it's how they control you. Example number 3, you've started a new hobby and you're excited about it. You're feeling good about it, but they get distant, dismissive. Your new hobby doesn't interfere with your time with them, okay? You do it at a time maybe when they're at work or when they're doing, whatever their hobby is, but yet they get distant and cold. So you ask, hey, what's going on? And they say, I don't even know who you are anymore. Well, suddenly, what do? You're proving yourself again. You're explaining that you're still you, that you still love them, that you're still in their world and you still want them and care for them, that this new thing doesn't mean that you're abandoning them. Your growth threatened their access to your energy. So they created a collapse to get it back. Now, you may be thinking, but I want to be supportive of them. I want to give my energy to them. Isn't that what love is? Yes, but not like this. In a healthy relationship, support goes both ways. Vulnerability is met with mutual care, and it goes both ways. Your fix-it mode isn't weaponized against you, it's appreciated. And in fact, it's reciprocated. They offer their own genuine fix-it mode when you need it. But in a narcissistic dynamic, this doesn't happen. Your love is manipulated. Your empathy is exploited. And the more you give, the more they demand. Not because they're healing or getting better or growing emotionally, but because they've learned that your healing energy feels good to them and they want more of it. Now, here's where it gets even more twisted and painful. In the beginning, their downs, go back to that roller coaster, their downs, the sulking, the cold shoulder, the subtle guilt trips, they were enough to activate your fix-it mode. You'd rush in to fix, to support, to reassure, to smooth things over, to bring them back to emotional safety. You were attentive, patient, loyal. But over time, as your nervous system starts adapting to this pattern, those same tactics don't work like they used to. Maybe you've read some books, maybe you went to therapy, you've gained some clarity, maybe you listened to a podcast. You begin to hesitate before fixing everything. You take a little longer now to respond. You wonder, wait, why am I always the one doing all the work? So you pull back those efforts some. What happens? Their pit gets deeper. Now, instead of passive aggressive digs, it's full blown withdrawal. Instead of sulking, it's accusations. You've changed. You don't care about me. You're cold. You're selfish. Maybe it even escalates to threats of leaving, emotional collapse, weaponized tears, rage, anything to shock your system back into fix-it mode. That's their hit. That's what they want, and they will seek it like their next hit of cocaine. It's not because they're growing more vulnerable or becoming more emotionally, attuned to you. It's because their usual tricks aren't working, and they desperately need that supply to keep coming. Your emotional labor, your caretaking, your constant centering of their pain into your world so that you're taking care of it, that's like oxygen to them. So their pit has to get deeper because the performance has to become more dramatic to get the same response. And every time you respond to that escalation, every time you give more energy, more effort, more empathy, more self-sacrifice, what happens? It teaches them that this strategy works. You need to think about that. And when they are escalating and it's working, you kick back into fix-it mode. You respond with what they're after. You're teaching them this strategy works. But here's the truth that they will never admit. They don't want repair. They want your reaction. They don't want peace. They want your energy and attention. And to keep getting it, the chaos has to keep growing. Now, here's an important piece to recognize. You cannot love them out of this cycle. You can't do it. You may have believed deep down, I know I did, that if you just poured in enough love to them, if you just found the right words and you found the right way to communicate, you found their love language, then finally they'd feel secure, that they would stop sabotaging the relationship, that they'd stop testing your loyalty or creating chaos. But instead, it just keeps growing. The chaos just seems to continue growing. You're playing a game you can't win because they need the chaos. Listen to this. They need the chaos to keep your fix-it mode engaged. Your calm is not what they want. Your effort is. If any of this hits home, I want you to hear me. It's not your job to stabilize someone who thrives in instability. If you've been asking yourself, okay, why does this keep happening? Why are we staying in these cycles? We're going up and down. Why do they keep going back and forth? This might be the answer that you've been missing. It's not because you haven't loved them enough. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because they are addicted to the attention that they get from you when you're trying to fix them or fix the relationship. In the long run, this relationship has become a cycle built around that need. If you go back to that roller coaster example, they are addicted to all the effort you put into pulling them out of the pits. So they keep going to the pits. I want you to start asking yourself, what happens when I stop fixing? When I get out of this fix-it mode? What happens when I hold my ground and I let that pit that they're in be theirs to climb out of? Well, it's not going to fix the relationship, I can tell you that. But it is when your healing begins. It's when that trauma bond starts to break inside of you. It's when your energy comes back home to you. If this episode speaks to you, I want you to know that you're not alone. These patterns are insidious, but they can be broken. How? With clarity, support, truth. Your story matters, and you deserve to be in a relationship where your love is met with love, not manipulation. If you're ready to start that journey, check out my coaching services at covertnarcissism.com. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you can get more episodes to continue on this journey. I will continue to give out as much useful information as I can. But if you're looking for personalized help, face-to-face on an online, through Zoom, then come find me at covertnarcissism.com. I am here to help you. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your truth, and stop pouring your energy into a pit that was never yours to fill. And it's a bottomless pit, by the way. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.